Okay, let's go back to our original problem. When we deploy the kube daemon set on the worker load, the kube daemon set crashed, and we have this log. If we check the kube daemon set log, the pod log on the workload, we got this error, and then it says dial this cluster services IO timeout, and the cluster services is this cluster services. The pool member is the master node API server, because the kube pod needed to contact the Kubernetes API server, so it needs to make a TCP collection through this cluster services to the kube API server. And we can simulate the network failure by just run a telnet on the workload to the cluster services, and then we can run a TCP down to see why the network TCP collection failed. Yeah, so if we telnet, and then we can see that the capture here says it's sourced from this cluster services IP to the master node IP. So we figured out that we needed to do a source address translation on the workload for this IP to use the workload IP. So we also figured out that we needed to do the masquerade on the workload, because yeah, in order to do source address translation, we needed to do the masquerade, and we also we wanted to do it in the kube-proxy, and yeah, so the last time the video I talked about it here, this rule basically excluded this packet, so no source address translation. And so let's look at what kube-proxy can do to masquerade. So kube-proxy masquerade, let's see, kube-proxy masquerade. Okay. Yeah, we can go to the kube-proxy page and see what argument it has for masquerade. So if you look through all the kube-proxy kube-proxy source address translation, and or masquerade, you will find nothing mentioning about a masquerade except this and this. So what does this say? If using the pure iptables proxy, select all traffic sent via service clusters IP. Select all traffic sent via service clusters IP. Right? So this looks like something close to what we want. And so how we test this? How we turn this on in kube-proxy? Okay, so let's go back to our Kubernetes workload. So this is how I run my workload. Remember here, my workload script. This -m is to specify the master node IP. This to specify the workload IP. So if we look at the worker node script in the start kube-proxy function, here you can specify how you want to run the kube-proxy with what configuration. So say for example, this part we already know, the kube-proxy on workload need a kube-config to connect to the master node, and here mode, we want to run the kube. We can specify the kube-proxy mode, either IP Linux virtual server or IP virtual server or iptable. So here is the part I skipped. I commented out just for this demonstration for the problem. And so here is how you set masquerade in iptables for the kube-proxy. So if we comment this out and see if we can resolve the problem. Okay, so we want to stop the hyperkube. So no kube-proxy, no kubernetes, kubenet and kube-proxy running. So and you know what? Maybe we should just restart the workload to stop everything. Clean up the iptables rules, you know. So, but our master node is still running. See on the worker node. Let's remove the daemon set first, and let's just remove the daemon set so we can restart the kube-final. So has our worker load started up? Okay, it started up. Okay, I needed to make a directory. So So I could SSH to my master node for another SSH session, because this guy here is still running, right? On kubernetes. Since we restarted the workload, I needed to copy the kube-config to the workload again. So the workload has the right kube-config regions. Okay, we copied this kubenet and a kube-proxy kube-config to the workload. And now let's start the workload. Okay, yeah. So this is our workload. Okay, our workload started. Let's see if okay, workload ready. Here, okay, finally it's removed everything related to the daemon set. So before we deploy the kube-nano, let's check the NAT table on the workload. See what changed. You notice here. Remember, previously in the kube services chain, we have kube mask is referenced, but the rule is different. The source is without iptables masquerade all argument for the kube-proxy. The rule is from long 10.0.0.1 and to destination, and then do the kube mark for masquerade. So, but this time it says mark any source from any source IP to any destination IP, then add a mark, add this mark, so then it will jump to this target to do source address translation, right? So this is what we are looking for, and yeah, so let's see if it works. Or actually, we can do a telnet, a quick telnet test. And then we will know. Remember the cluster services IP, and the pool member is the master node kube API server. Let's telnet this guy on the workload, and the TCP down. TCP down. Yeah, just the 443 port 443. Oh no, 6443. That's the API server, right? Yeah, we wanna actually we can run the iptables trace. Yeah, let's run the iptables trace. do I still have the IP tables? Trace. Okay, let me see. Wow, my doc, if I still have the, yeah, I don't remember all the stuff, so I have to go back and reference my document. I believe here, yeah, we need to load this log on the worker load. On the worker load. And okay, here. Then we turn on this kernel log for trace log for the IPv4 packet. Okay. Oh no, copy the wrong. Okay, what else? Okay. So, okay, I did this. Let's trace this. Add this rule in the raw table. Remember the let filter framework? Okay. So let's trace this. Let's trace this, and we can log into the worker load and do a telnet. 443. Okay, see, as you can see, we got a prompt. So the TCP three-way handshake worked. And this is a trace rule, the IP table trace rule here. As you can see here, in the raw table output chain, yeah, so source from this cluster services IP, destination cluster services IP on the worker load, that is expected. And so now in the NAT table output chain, and source from services IP, destination IP, that's fine. And so it's in the now NAT table kube services chain, and same source IP, destination IP through the local interface, which is on the Linux virtual server IP virtual server dummy interface, and then could be mark NAT table could be mark mask, and we want to see the destination translation. We want to jump to here, yeah. So jump here because all above rules they are still in the dummy interface on the IPVS 0 interface on the worker load. So here is actual after the destination translation, and that was done by the IPVS kernel module. So notice that the destination IP translated to the master node IP, and the source IP is still no source address translation, so still the services IP on the node interface. So okay, let's come down here. See out. Where is where is the, you know what? Actually, so, okay, let's do this. Do this. TCP done capture scene packet. All right, we don't want to. We just want to capture a SIM packet for our test, right? So we can use this guy to capture our SIM owning packet on the master node. Yeah, so we only want to capture the SIM packet. On the worker load, let's telnet (443). We get a prompt on the master node. We got this. We captured the SIM packet, and then notice the source address is translated to the workload workload IP instead of a 10.0.0.1 cluster services IP. So the IP tables masquerade all did the work, and so if we deploy the kube-proxy, it should work, right? Okay, let's deploy the kube-proxy. Let's deploy the kube-proxy again. Okay, we deployed the kube-proxy, and it should work with no crash. No crash. Okay, it's running, but we want to make sure we leave it running for a while, and to make sure it's not crashing. This is on the worker load. This is a pod on the worker load. Kube system. It's tail. Yeah, actually you already see some successful logs, so I can guarantee you it's not going to crash. As you can see here, it's contacted the cluster services and got a successful response. So it's working. Yeah. So this part, I'm not sure why the IP table trace didn't show me the source address translation. Source address translation here. So it seems it ended here without showing me the source address translation. But in our TCP download, TCP down on the master node, we see the source address is translated. So yeah, maybe my IP table trace rule didn't capture the source address translation rule. That is fun, and I can figure that out sometime later. Yeah, so yeah, hope you understand, and yeah,